and tourism sector in this report.
Few years back, the waves of the Indian Ocean were met by the warm embrace of curious tourists, some of whom had traveled thousands of miles to enjoy the warm sandy beaches, cooled by an ever-present breeze. Today, the image reflects a shade of its former glory. Not many are out here to enjoy the cool breeze along the shoreline, take a sandbath, or just to swim in the ocean.
In 2017 to 2019, tourism was picking up in a steady way. We saw growth both in international tourism and in domestic tourism, and also in MICE tourism. So I would say the hospitality industry was stable and was doing well, of course with a lot of room for growth and still room for improvement. 2020 COVID hit. I don't think we had anticipated how long the pandemic would last. I don't think we had strategies to be able to mitigate such a pandemic.
At the height of the pandemic, business owners, especially hoteliers, had to let go of their workers, and some hotels ended up closing shop for good. Across the country, grim images of chairs turned on top of tables in hotels is all that one could see. The industry was on its knees. Beach hotels were particularly hard hit, with lockdowns and travel bans making it impossible for tourists to travel. But with the pandemic fizzling out, hoteliers are hopeful.
Asilimia ya wageni wale walikuwa tunapata kwa ni wachache. Tunapata 30% to 35%. But now nafikiri tunaweza fikia kiwango wa 70 kuendelea. So ni kwamba tuseme kwa sasa tuna matarajio mema, kwa sababu saa hii tunavyoongea ni kwamba siasa tulimaliza, na pia nafikiri rais wetu ule mpya aliyeapishwa ni kwamba saa hii ametekeleza jambo la mawaziri.
The tourism sector has come to define the economy of the city of Mombasa, which saw its population struggle to cope during the pandemic.
We've had to recover from the famous Kaya Bombo clashes. We've had to recover from the terrorist attack in, it was in Kikambala. We've had to recover from the shift of the port from Mombasa to Naivasha, and we've had to now recover from COVID. I would say we are a resilient destination.
Under the leadership of the former Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Najib Balala, several steps had been made to promote Kenya under the Magical Kenya brand. According to hoteliers and tourism experts, the incoming Cabinet Secretary has a full in tray.
One thing that she will find from her predecessor is that there are clear strategies that have been put into place. So my ask or my request for her is review those strategies, work with stakeholders who understand the industry, and key, and where she will win, is implement those strategies. We're very good at creating documents as a government and as a country. Execution is where we need to improve on. There's areas of looking at our product. Do we have the right product? Has the product developed or evolved into what the new tourism environment looks like?
Kenya is also facing stiff competition from neighboring countries with different offerings for tourists. So how can Kenya maintain its competitive advantage?
There's a lot of work still to be done. Tanzania, Zanzibar is knocking at our doors. Rwanda is coming up. Uganda is coming up. So we can't afford to be complacent.
Atakuwa na wadau wa kujua kwamba nchi zingine za nje zile tuzo mara nyingi sana tunazitazamia, at least awe na utaratibu na awe na uzoefu kujaribu kusakanya hawa wageni.
While Mombasa is expected to remain Kenya's lead tourism destination, more needs to be done to expand its appeal. The sector is also faced with the challenge of recruiting and retaining workers, some of whom moved away from after being laid off at the height of the pandemic.
So we need to change how we train our people in this industry. We need to modernize and add value or upskill them beyond you're training to be a waiter, or you're training to be a receptionist, or you're training to be a cook. We've seen globally people who started, great chefs who started in the hotel industry and now are world-renowned 3-star Michelin chefs.
This is just an example of how the hotel industry is bouncing back to its feet after the COVID-19 pandemic. Here, tourists are now coming in, and even Kenyans are now part of those who are making this industry thrive. Saad Hassan, KTN News at Masai Beach in Mombasa County.
All right, that story from Sada Hassan leads us to our conversation today, where we'll be looking at the tourism sector and also just the hospitality industry at large.